Thanks so much for joining me today, Horse Girl.
Hi, thank you.
Do you prefer Horse Girl or Stella?
I mean, Stella, horse girl, it's both fine.
How are you doing today?
I am very good. The sun is out. I have missed her. So yeah, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good. I'm happy to see the sun. My voice is a little hoarse. So in perfect shape for speaking with you. So you're from Sunshine Farms, is that right?
Yes.
So I'm going to take a step back and hear a little bit about what it was like growing up there and how that experience shaped you into the artist that you've now become.
Growing up on a farm was the best thing ever. I had so many friends. I was constantly outside, and I guess the kind of pressure to be cool or to conform was not as big as maybe in a city. So it helped me really to be kind of grounded in knowing where I'm from and knowing that I always have this place where I can also come back and recharge. So yeah.
My understanding is that you consider yourself to be more of a musician and a singer. So what was your musical training like growing up?
I was always singing. I also learned a couple of instruments from very young, and listened to different music, played classical music, jazz. Eventually I taught myself to play the guitar. But before that I was playing the trombone and French horn and yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, different things to do for sure. I don't really play it anymore.
So what inspired you to start DJing then?
It was kind of looking back now, I think it was a weird natural transition into always being the person that's asked to be on the aux cord into maybe I should try this at a party, and then into, do you want to get paid for this? So it wasn't I never really decided I want to be a DJ, you know. I think it's an odd thing to decide. You either just have this natural ability to just find music that makes people dance and showcase that in many ways, or you don't. Yeah.
Did you start making music at the same time that you started DJing?
No.
When did you start making music?
I think I started writing my own little songs when I was maybe 8 years old. So it's been a very long time, and I was making music maybe 7 years or so before, like professionally making music and writing songs and producing and stuff, maybe 7 years before getting into DJing. Yeah.
Okay. What are some of your primary musical influences? Because I hear a lot of references to pop, obviously, but also like heavy hardcore. So what is really inspiring to you?
I think everything can be an inspiration. I really don't try to just look in the genres that maybe I make. I find inspiration in films and musicals and anything that's like very over the top theaters. I love that kind of stuff because it's so extra, and I hope one day my stage show can be just as extra as going to like a crazy musical. But even I love just anything where this intense energy gets released. So even in punk music or in heavy metal, or you just have so many genres where it's about this big tension that just explodes in the room and everyone is just going crazy. So I I also get inspiration from that. I get inspiration from country. I get inspiration from books. Yeah, it's really, I think inspiration is everywhere, not just in the genre you make.
Mm-hmm. A lot of your fans have latched on to horsegiirL, and you've really resonated with a big audience really quickly. What do you think it is about horsegiirL that's captured so many people's hearts?
I really don't know. It's like describing oneself. It's very difficult to think about yourself in a third person perspective. I think what people have told me, why they love or support me, or why they like my music, is it helps them maybe through dark times because it's quite uplifting. And I think a lot of people think I'm funny. But other than that, I really don't know, because, it's difficult to know why people resonate with what you put out there, right? It's like,
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
When you've talked about your roots in Sunshine Farms, you've noted that there's much less of a hierarchy there than in the animal kingdom, than in the human kingdom. Can you talk a little bit more about that, and maybe if there are any values from the animal world that you've tried to bring to the human world?
I think the biggest difference is we understand each other all as part of a bigger system, a big net of everyone. Whereas I have noticed that a lot of humans think they are the top of the hierarchy, ruling over the world. And I think that is a very big mistake, because humans are just as much part of this ecological network that makes the world. I think this is something us animals are much better in understanding, that we need each little part to really be in balance, and no one is more valuable or less valuable in that big network. Yeah.
It seems like the parties that you're playing are, you're attracting a different audience. And I've seen go to parties even, let's say, a few years ago. It seems a lot younger and a little bit more diverse. And maybe, at least looking at some of like your Boiler Room videos, like the aesthetics are different. It seems more fun. Can you just talk a little bit about what your core audience is like and what those parties have been like that you've been playing?
It's interesting because now I don't know if I have a core audience anymore. I think this may also be a normal process, that when you grow, more and more people from different walks of life start to enjoy and come to your show. In the beginning, I would say my core audience was definitely young and very queer. And I think now, with songs like My Bar and My Rules being viral, I think it has crossed over a little bit also into a more broader, I would say kind of, just a more broader, also commercial crowd, which I think can happen, people that will go to your show because of that one song. But what I can say, everyone has been always super, super sweet and accepting. That is like the core thing I can feel about my fans, is that they're very, very open-minded people. And I've been, just now when I was in Australia, there were like old school tatted ravers, hardcore and khabar listeners, and then you had super young gay boys, and then you had super fashionistas, and like just a crazy amount of different people.
So in a past interview, you said that my contribution to the electronic music scene is to remind people that it's not so serious. It's really about the vibes. It's to connect, to dance, to have a good time, and to feel alive. And I know this is something that has maybe been asked quite a bit recently, but I was wondering from your perspective if you feel like there's a renewed appetite for connection and fun in the dance music world. And if so, what you would attribute that to?
I don't know if there is a renewed appetite because I cannot speak on how it has been, decades before this. I didn't experience this euphoria of the 90s and this kind of stuff, but I think there's a lot of new people experiencing rave culture for the first time. There's all of the Gen Zers that turned 18 during the pandemic but couldn't go out. So there's a big shift, I guess. And there is this young energy. I mean, I think everyone, when you remember the first time you would go out to parties, naturally it was new to you, and there was just this feeling of, wow, this is exciting, and oh my God, I'm going to a club. Am I going to get in? And like this kind of stuff. And I think maybe this wave of new people and young people that experience this for the first time also are part of why there's a shift and it's not super serious anymore. But I don't know if that was ever gone fully. I think there was just maybe a time, especially in Berlin, where it became also musically much, much darker,
Mm-hmm. Your songs are very fun. So you've released Harvest Heartbreak, My Bar, My Rules, Pegasus, Little White Pony, and I think you have a new single called Wish.
Yeah, that was my Christmas single, exactly.
Okay. So on the surface, I think these all seem extremely upbeat, like you, but they also seem to have some darker themes. And I think on social media, you wrote that Harvest Heartbreak is for all the love we lost and all the pain we suffered in the name of romance. So can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the underlying messages?
I think I like to write about love. I like to write about friendship. Harvest Heartbreak was about someone breaking my heart. And it happened to be around harvest time. So every time it's harvest time, I get reminded of it. And I think that's why I wrote it. But it is also this kind of, at the end, I'm saying, that there's a new farmer in town. And I think there's always this perspective to remember that even when you're feeling down, it's going to get better. I guess that could be a message maybe. Try to remind people and remember myself that it's there's always a new day.
Mm-hmm. In past interviews, you've also said that your music is it embodies a duality. It's euphoric, but it's also heavy. And you write in your RA bio that what you sing about is what unites human and horse, the deep emotions of existence and the everlasting pursuit of happiness. So what are some of the deep emotions of existence that you think about when you write?
Love and loss. Giving birth to something. This also, also in a creative sense, this never-ending cycle of birth in the world, of new things, but also of death, of things disappearing. Maybe also time, how everything is kind of fleeting. But mostly I also just love writing about it, but about having fun. It's not always as deep, Sometimes you're just in the studio and it's like, yeah.
So maybe I'm trying to get deeper than.
No, I mean it's yes and no, right? Like while you're creating, I don't try to intellectualize the creative process, because if I do, what tries to come out of me is not as pure anymore, and it tends to lead to a blockage. during the creation process, I think one should just let it flow. At least that works for me the best. And then after, if I look at the work again and I can be like, maybe, wow, there is this thing, this message that seems to pour out of it. Cool. But everyone makes of everything what they project into it anyway, right? So you don't really have any power over how people read your work in the end anyway.
Yeah, totally. I wanted to talk more about My Barn, My Rules because I really like how sassy it is, and you also have a music video that you made for it. So can you tell me more about that track and also just the music video that you have for that, and also a couple other songs that are really fun?
The music video for My Barn, My Rules was super fun. I'm jumping out of a plane. I'm riding a very fast car and drifting around. I'm skating. I am giving a press conference. It was just a fun-filled day. And then MCRT is having this super cool security suit. And in the pool, he was like saying, I should just go for a swim. And we ended up filming it. It was kind of cold on that day, so respect to him doing this. Definitely one of the funnest videos to shoot. Recently we did the Wish music video, which was the first time I was doing a video that was mainly green screen or blue screen, which is also a new experience because you don't really see the set yet. But that was also super fun because I had dancing reindeers.
It reminded me of like something I'd see in Love Actually. Was
Yes. I was just leaning very much into this cheesy, over-the-top Christmas spirit.
Yeah. So you like Christmas.
I like loads of holidays. I mean, holidays are great. Yeah. I think more holidays. That's also another thing animals have understood. Just more holidays. Like all the time, basically.
So your DJ sets, you play a lot of mashups and like different kinds of music, but they aren't the kinds of tracks you'd find in like a record shop or even on Beatport. Because they're quite niche. So where are you finding most of the music that you're playing?
SoundCloud.
Yeah.
I'm still a SoundCloud bitch. It's just SoundCloud is a place where I find a lot of music. YouTube as well, but mainly SoundCloud because a lot of the stuff I play are also newish genres. The edits I play are mainly by very contemporary DJs from all over the world and producers from all over the world, oftentimes with no professional background and no actual releases on Spotify. So it's mainly Bandcamp, SoundCloud, and a little bit YouTube.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's so different from like most traditional DJs that I talk to. How are you mostly finding these people? Just through digging?
It's still the same process, right? You still you look, okay, I like this track. What has this person done? Maybe there's more that I like. Who have they been inspired by? It's definitely the same process as going through the traditional route of finding new music. But yeah, I also think with these kind of algorithms, it makes it also easier because things get recommended to you based on what you've liked before. Although I wouldn't say SoundCloud's algorithm is as good as the Spotify algorithm, for example. Yeah.
Who are you really liking these days in terms of artists?
The first person that pops into my head is this Brazilian artist called DJ ICQ. Just an incredible producer, just mixes up bi-funk rhythms together with Jersey, together with Euro dance and Counter-Strike edits. Like, it's just crazy. It's insane, and it just gets you dancing. So that's definitely someone I've been really vibing with. Yep.
One thing I'm curious about is, do you think there's less of an allegiance to genre among your fans or among younger dance music fans?
I can't speak for younger dance music fans, but I would say among my fans for sure. Yeah. I think there is just you want to be taken on a journey for a lot of my fans, and for me, I can just talk about myself as well. I feel like when I go out, I kind of want to be surprised. I don't want to know already at the beginning of the set that this is the vibe for the entire 2 hours. I would like to be taken on a journey, and I would like to be, ideally, I should have this feeling of, I need to Shazam this, the whole time. I feel like there is obviously also an art to keeping this constant, almost trance state where the beat is constant and everything morphs into this one big sound and beat, which is also a way of raving that I really like. But I think in this space that I move in, it's normally surprise me, take me on a journey, throw me a curveball and like pull me back in and like, yeah. So
I'm curious about that because it seems to me like you play a lot of like all killer, no filler, just like poppy tracks that are definitely going to go off. But are you usually responding more to the crowd and like what kind of unexpected thing would you play then?
I think this is also really depending on where I play. If I play in a club space where I know people are really here to dance and it's not this kind of festival, I want to film this experience, look, I went to this concert, I have much more freedom to also play more like tracks with no vocals on it and tracks that just have a longer duration to really build up. Whereas when you're at a festival and you have a 1 hour slot, you just know kind of that certain tracks the people want to hear and you give the people what they want. So it really depends, of course, on the vibe. And there's more crowds. There's some crowds that are very experimental and you can really try out lots of things. And then there's crowds where you just know, okay, it's going to be more straight to it. Here are the hits.
Yeah. So your music initially went viral on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Are you a big TikTok user?
Not so much, to be honest. I think I would get addicted.
Yeah.
I think I would get addicted. So I try to really not do it. I'm already on Instagram where I then get the recycled TikToks, you know. I used to have a TikTok phase and it would literally steal hours of my day. And
That's what I've heard from everybody.
Yeah.
TikTok.
And so I like, because it's good. It is good. It's funny as fuck. So yeah, but no.
Well, since you're not on TikTok a lot, I don't know if you'd be able to answer this, but how do you think that TikTok as a platform has changed the way that dance music sounds?
I mean, the obvious or easiest answer, I guess, would be to say it made it faster. But I think that was a trend that already started a little bit before TikTok, and it was just in general how everything becomes faster. But it has changed music, the approach to music in general. If you're making commercial music or if you want your music to be somewhat successful in a dance space, in a pop space, doesn't matter, rap space, you need to immediately grab people's attention. So it has changed maybe the way we approach writing, the way we approach arrangement in a song. And I would say that's across the board. That has really, it has something to do with TikTok, but also with Instagram for sure.
Yeah. It seems like it's really democratized the music making process as well, because you don't really need a major label anymore to put music out. You can become a viral hit like you did just by having a song on a platform that gets a ton of attention.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in one way it has democratized this process. On the other hand, I think for artists that make experimental music, or music that is outside of this realm of commercial, it has made it even more difficult because now everyone's just streaming. I guess 10, 15 years ago, you would sell a couple of copies of your album, EP, whatever, physical copies, or even, in an iTunes store. And you could actually live off that, even if you don't have 1 million monthly listeners. There's great pieces of music that I can only listen to once a year. This doesn't mean that they're not good. It's just I have to be in a specific mood.
True.
And those artists now, they basically all have to have another job besides making music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also curious, and I'm going to sound like kind of a boomer right now, but do you think TikTok, like the era of TikTok dance music, has changed the way that people dance and dress and show up to raves?
There is a kind of derogatory term that's something as a TikTok rave, or there's a TikTok ravers. I only played once at a show where it was TikTok ravers, where I could really tell, okay, you are all super young, you're all wearing fetish wear and the harnesses in black and the glasses and this is kind of crazy. It looks like you have this uniform. But at the same time, I have to say, they had a great time. They all danced, they had fun, and why not? If you feel, I think you cannot, I don't know, I'm not a fan of this generational thing of, oh, you don't understand where this is coming from. Let the people enjoy it and have fun, and at least they're going out there, not just on their phone, having a good time, as long as they're being respectful. And yeah, they create maybe silly little dances and do this funny thing that looks like riding a horse, so maybe I like it. That's but yeah, so maybe TikTok has created this idea that you have to dress a certain way when you go to a rave, but I think that's gonna be a phase, and already, and at least at my shows, I feel like people dress up all sorts of ways. They come in farm dressing with hats, and others come in normal clothing, like they just got out of the office. There's really no actual dress code. So
but yeah. It's cool because you showing up the way you are gives people permission to show up how they are, or even to create a whole farmy subculture around horse girl.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel also, I always feel like the TikTok raver kids get such a bad rap, but then at the same time, back in the day when you would go to a hip hop concert, everyone was also dressing a specific way. Or even now, if you go, let's say, to a kind of music show, for example, most people will have sneakers on and a very big kind of street style shirt. It's just, there's always this need for us to kind of belong and show that we belong to this kind of culture. So it's it's not that deep, really.
In Sunshine Farms, what kind of did you have any kind of allegiance to a subculture or a scene?
Not really. I think I was always I had a little emo phase for sure, and I would wear my mane very over my eye, and yeah, and I would put little Hello Kitty inside of my mane, Hello Kitty clips and stuff, and wear shoelaces as a belt, and
I think we've all been through that phase.
So I guess that was one phase, for sure.
So it was even in the horse world and the human world.
Yeah, that took over everyone, and just, yeah.
So you're a part of Live from Earth. How did you meet the crew and start getting involved?
I met them, years before I started working with them, kind of through JJ, MCRT. And I think when you are in Berlin and you do anything kind of in the creative or club cultural scene, eventually you kind of stumble over Live from Earth, and because they're kind of involved in so many different things. I don't really remember the first time really meeting everyone. I don't think that happened in that way, but yeah, it kind of was a slow process of just growing together.
So for listeners who might not be familiar with Live from Earth, or maybe have only heard the Live from Earth name, how would you describe the collective and what they do? Because you mentioned they are involved in so many different creative outlets.
I think just a bunch of doers, a lot of hands-on people of different creative disciplines that basically came and come together to bring the kind of ideas to life that everyone has, and do that mainly, firstly, I think, for the sake of the idea, rather than always with this super commercial approach of we have to become super rich and so yeah, it's just a very great hands-on environment of just helping each other, and having people that can take over maybe the design part, or making merch ourselves, or having someone that's really good at, I don't know, creating a stage layout, or or someone in the video world, and just basically everyone kind of chipping in whatever they know best.
Yeah, I get the impression that it has kind of like a DIY ethos.
100%. Yeah.
And it's a pretty big group of people, right? Like, aren't there around 20 members, or it's
not really a member thing either, right? It's kind of like there's also even way more artists, I would say, that have worked with Live from Earth, and in that moment were part of Live from Earth in that sense. And so yeah, I think, I don't know if there's like a hard number of who's part of it and who's not part.
Yeah. It's open to all.
Yeah, it's open to all for sure. And it's like but it, as you said, it's very DIY. It's very making the most out of little. Like, you don't need a massive budget. You don't need a huge production to make a sick video, for example.
So Live from Earth is it's a DJ collective, a label. They do video production, merch. Is there something I'm missing in this constellation of creative things?
I guess one big part is that they also do parties. Mm-hmm. They do residencies at clubs, and they do parties. They used to also do the booking process, which just got a little bit too much for everyone to handle, so it was outsourced. But yeah, and they're just also, I think it's a very like friend and family kind of vibe.